than what it is doing now, which is kind of crummy compared to the Great Sword and the Great Club. Patches! Now, he will only be here and only show up if you have summoned him for the last giant boss fight, and he survived the boss fight. He was always good at surviving. I don't think they changed him in a patch, as far as I remember. And he's given us a ton of stuff here. He's given us his spear, his shield, his entire armor set, and his ring, the Ring of Thorns. Yeah, we were just talking, Patches. Do you? Okay. And he's trying to do the same thing he did last time, telling you about treasure, but he's saying it's dangerous and don't go. I guess you can argue that he's trying to sort of lure you into going over there to look at the treasure, but that just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because, you know, he's warning you off. The point of Patch is that he tries to get you killed. And, oh well. Okay, the Ring of Thorns. Ring counterattacks when damage is taken. If you get attacked while wearing this ring, you will automatically counterattack sort of randomly with damage. Not with your weapon, but the ring will counterattack the enemy and damage the person that tried to attack you. And that is not terribly useful compared to the other things. I don't bother using it. Let's take a look over there. This is another enemy in this game, the Desert Sorceress. She is a powerful pyromancer, and she is also attired in a rather comely outfit there. But she is very, very dangerous, very deadly with her weaponry. You really should go at her with a bow here and try to kill her. I'm going to try to sneak by. Oops. Will this destroy it? Oh, well, that'll destroy it. And I'm going to jump down over there, but first I'm going to put on the cat ring, so I don't take some falling damage. Down here, we can get the treasure Patches was talking about, which is a soul item. It's not a soul item, it's a sorcery. Great Heavy Soul Arrow, which is, I think, the highest of the soul arrows. There's Soul Arrow, Heavy Soul Arrow, Great Soul Arrow, and of course, Great Heavy Soul Arrow. That really reminds me of the Monty Python sketch, Silly Party, Serious Party, Very Silly Party. I don't like the way he's commenting on my ruggedness, especially with that stash. What he's talking about there is that the other person that we've been meeting around here, Creighton of Mirah, is involved in some sort of conflict with him. I think he double-crossed Creighton, Patches double-crossed Creighton instead of us. So it really just feels like they're pulling us out of our own game, you know? These guys should be trying to murder us and betray us. That's the point, but instead they're being involved with each other. After doing this, Patches will now move on to his final area. And let's pop down here. Now, where is that guy? Should be... That item down there, by the way, is a broadsword that is infused with poison. I don't think I'm going to go down and get it, because there's not a whole lot of point to it. Yeah, and it's kind of hard to reach. You can infuse a broadsword with poison pretty much any time. Now let's pop down here where, after we got a sorcery, we can now get a miracle, which is Lightning Spear, which is a pretty vital miracle to get if you are a faith character. That's a fantastic attack there, that Lightning Spear, which, thankfully, thank Lord Gwyn, they nerfed pretty heavily from the original game. Because you originally had, I think, 8 casts of that when you started out the game, which was ridiculous, and you can do an incredible amount of damage with that, with those, well, I can still backstab it. You can do an incredible amount of damage with that, and they attack really fast. Lightning Spear was changed considerably from the original game, where you had to go through quite a bit of rigmarole to get the miracle in the first place, and it was, like a lot of the other spells, fairly slow to cast. It took quite a while to do, but in this game they made it so quick for you to cast that lightning spear. It made it a bit too easy for my taste. Now, this next area is not strictly related to the boss, but I think I will go through it anyway, just to show you what's up there. I don't think it's terribly important, really. I think the only thing that you could get in this next area of any import is a Pharos Lockstone. And we already have a couple of Pharos Lockstones, and we don't need to be using that many anyway. So, and then the next room is fairly dangerous. So I'm a little worried for myself here, because there are a bunch of these desert sorceresses. Heck, sorcerer sounds better, doesn't it? In this next room, including this stupid Grave Warden who's about to get his ass handed to him. Don't you flask on me. Don't you flask. Don't you be flasking. There's another one to our... Oh, wait, no. Did she die? How did she die? Did she get killed accidentally with one of the other... Did one of the other enemies kill her accidentally? I think this is either an arrow or a poison trap. Poison trap. See, it doesn't poison you enough. What should happen with the trap is what happens with any D&D trap. You should just get hit immediately. And I think it's just Pharos. Yeah, it's just a Pharos Lockstone. I don't think... Is there more than one guy down there? Because if there is, this would be dangerous. But if there's just one... You can also get their knife, by the way. The mannequin knife. And I think also their shield. Let's going to go to our crossbow. We have some heavy bolts. I should have bought some heavy arrows before coming in here. I did not really fancy getting poisoned. The rest of the level, there's not really anything of use, but I'm just going to show it around to you anyway. There is one area, there is one item before the boss that is kind of useful, actually, now that I think about it. But only for cosplaying. Other than that, it is not of any terribly great use. And, oh, do I have to take it off? I'll take the binoculars off. My still fat rolling. Oh my god. I'm gonna have to do it. I have to take the hat off. I'm shocked. I'm appalled. I think this shield... Is this shield heavier than the one we just had? Yes, it is, by half a pound. That's not so good. And it's worse. Well, anyway. Let us continue up here. One of the great things about the Souls games is when you can affect... Oh, for God's sake. Would you wait, please? I was on my way up. Are you that eager to die, you dick? Alright. One of the great things about the Souls games, now that I can do it without being interrupted, is when you can affect the environment to cause enemies to sort of be hoisted by their own petard. And the fact that you can do that here is really, really joyful. It really lightens my heart. Just like with the Tor Johnson guys, these people, even though they live in a poison land, can mysteriously be poisoned. And this will kill them. They cannot survive this. I love this. I love that. Alright. Let's place that. Is the light crossbow that much heavy? It's 2 pounds heavier than the short bow. I did not notice that before. Wow. There's another one of these grave robber guys here, but there's also another desert sorceress to our immediate right. So lure this guy towards you. Don't go out there, because she can hammer you with fire spells. Pretty darn quickly. Flasking, these guys. Jeez. If I didn't hate them enough already, they're flasking on me. Alright. Now go immediately to this stair, go up, and hopefully that will miss you. These guys can't really do much to you if you get up close. They're exclusively mage. They don't have much of a physical attack. And I don't know if you can get that staff, now that I think about it. I'm trying to think if we can get it. It almost looks like a mirror. But you can't get that. But you can get their clothing. So you can get, if you're doing a female character, you can get a really great skirt here. And it looks fantastic. The headpiece looks okay. They also have sort of a top, which is kind of like sort of a one, I guess a bra with one strap on it, kind of. If you fell the other way, I could show you. But these guys will also drop some mysterious items. I say mysterious because they're very good, and too good, really, for them to for them to be dropping them. That door, by the way, over there, that's the boss room. That's where we're going to fight her. You really should aggro these guys one at a time with arrows, and then take care of them over here. 209. Wow, that's actually pretty good. Every time! Every time these guys have flasks. I can't believe that. Also, I forgot to mention before that Gilligan mentioned fire quite a bit. That was a hint that this boss is very weak to fire. And that is an NPC summon sign of, even their headpiece looks bad, of a character that we will talk about later, who is a fantastic pyromancer, probably the best pyromancer in the game. And he is also capable of simply taking on the boss on his own. So the original game had 99% of the characters that you went, the NPC summons would be demolished within seconds of starting, and one of them was so powerful that he could annihilate the enemy on his own. Because that makes sense, right? There is an NPC, Red Phantom, up here, wearing bandit's armor. We have to take him out. If you surprise him, he's also using that weird sickle thing that the abomination monsters from Harvest Valley used. I think he can flask, too. Yes, he can. As he just did, because he's a little prick. Fucking flasking on me, boy. You fucking flask on me. Alright. And now we have what is easily the most pointless... I know I said before that the one in Huntsman's Copse was the most pointless bonfire in the game. But this may take the cake. They're in a dead heat running. What in God's name is there a bonfire doing there? There was no reason for that at all. You should not have a bonfire there. It makes no sense whatsoever. And in this secret door, we can find some petrified something, which we can trade to the crows and things betwixt, and maybe get a special item. Although I don't really want a special item, I don't need one, there's really no point to it, but hey, it's nice to have. I think I can aggro them to... Can I aggro them to do it? There are a ton of poison barrels there, and we can... There are some more of those beetle/mushroom thingies behind them. You see them there? There are a ton of them. And there is also the first example of something very interesting that we can show you when I get in there. I can kill this mob of entomologically related monstrosities. Of course, it's a mob of enemies, not one well-designed enemy. And there are more. There's 3 more. Thank you, game. I wanted more. Darn it. And they don't drop anything good, do the green blossom? Nope. Nothing good. Oh, life gem. That's kind of good. Smooth and silky stone. We have a Pharaoh's contraption up here. Don't use it. There's no point. Why bother using it? It does provide you with some limited healing, but, you know, wasting a Pharaoh's Lockstone on that, no point. And in here we have a very interesting little guy. This is actually not a chest. This is a mimic. If you have played D&D before, you will know what a mimic is. They are monsters that disguise themselves as chests. This is not a chest. This is a horrid monstrosity with huge, nasty, pointed teeth that will rip us apart if we attack it. Although I can't... Oh, you can see it. Did you see it there? If you look at it this way, you can see the teeth underneath it. You cannot do that with a regular chest. You can just barely see the teeth underneath there. You used to be able to tell in Dark Souls 1 by a very clear choice of design which was a mimic and which was not in that game. But in this one, you can't. Not easily, anyway. If you find a mimic, you will find a use for these items known as Lloyd's Talismans. The Lloyd's Talismans will render a mimic asleep or paralyzed, and you can take the item within without it aggroing on you, which I will show in a moment. There we go, see? I'll show that item in a bit. Now, I don't like what they did with mimics in this game because they used to be fearsome. Even if you knew that a mimic was there and you attacked it, it was really tough and had a really good attack power. Unfortunately, in this game, mimics are pretty weak, and they're not really that much of a danger, and you can usually kill them just like the Hive Knights before they even start attacking you. Because the other mimics, they actually stood up and attacked you, but this one sort of stands on its back feet like that, and on all fours. It's really, really peculiar. Now, the item that we picked up is one of the more hilarious items in the game. It is this. That's right, it's a pirate hook. Why this is not in the pirate level, I do not know. I love that we can get a pirate hook in this game, and you can cosplay as a pirate to your heart's content, sir. Now, I think we are actually going to go fight the boss now, because I'm beginning to take a lot of time on this. We are going to go fight Medusa, and then, if there's any time after that, I will continue showing the level. There's really nothing worthwhile left in the level that I haven't already got, so you don't really need to go out there. Jester Thomas. And Jester Thomas is one bad mofo. Look at this guy. He's dual-wielding pyromancy gloves, and he has essentially an unlimited number of pyromancy casts. And he is dressed like a clown, like a medieval jester. Yeah, that's Jester Thomas right there, in a nutshell. You ready? Let's do this. Now, originally, this boss room was entirely filled with poison, from top to bottom, and I beat my head against this boss, I don't know, 6 or 7 times originally, before I felt that I must be missing something, and I needed to change what I was doing. And I think that was the first time in the game I actually cheated and looked up a walkthrough to figure out what was going on. He's using the most powerful pyromancy in the game there, called Forbidden Sun, which is a gigantic fireball that will do incredible damage. Her attack there with that spear can be pretty tough, but I don't think you can actually get that spear. She just detonated her head. I think you can get a dagger if you defeat her. And if you stay behind her and try to strike, she will coil you up in her snake tail there. And that's obviously very dangerous. You don't want that to happen. And she also has sorceries, weirdly enough, I guess because she doesn't like pyromancy. Mitha, the Baneful Queen. So let's pop back out here. She's not a terribly difficult boss without that poison. You can defeat her if there's still poison in the room, but not only will it poison you, it will actually heal her, and it's very difficult to do that early on in the game. You know, if you're just like a regular Joe at a base level, not a base level, but at a lower level like the one I'm at now, to kill her quickly enough that the poison doesn't heal her and that the poison doesn't kill you. And this is the other side of that room that we were in. And I'm trying to think if there's anything we need to go, anything we need to do. I don't think there's anything worthwhile in this area that we have not already achieved. Let's see here. No, I may be forgetting something, but I think I got everything I needed to. I really like the Earthen Peak, maybe because partially this was the third area, I mentioned this before, that I went to in the game after defeating the Rotten and the Lost Sinner, and it was after those two battles I really felt that I had an affinity with how to play the game. And I also finally got a katana in the next area, which I was looking for. And this is another big criticism of this game. If you remember outside, we looked at Earthen Peak. It just sort of extended up into the sky, and that was it. It terminated. There was nothing above it. However, there is mysteriously an elevator here? What? This doesn't make any sense. How can there be an elevator here? But yeah, there is one. There's an elevator somehow, up at the top of this. God knows how, but there is one. And what it's doing up here, I don't know. It can't go anywhere. It can't exist. There's nothing above this. There's just the sky. Now, if you could, like, have a portal here and teleport to something, some way to disguise a loading screen, fine, but it just highlights the poor level design in this game that they just couldn't think. They couldn't remember that there can't be a ladder above this building going to this. And there were other things in Dark Souls 1 that didn't make any sense. I'm not pretending there wasn't. For instance, in Dark Souls 1, there was a... you could literally go from the Undead Parish, which was the middle of the day, to a few feet away in Darkroot Garden, and it was the middle of the night. And there was kind of a reason for that, lore-wise, because there was a... what am I looking for here? Fragrant branch viewer. Because there was some, let's say, issues with the sun in the game. I don't want to spoil it in case you haven't played the game, but could be some reasons for that difference there. But it didn't make a heck of a lot of sense at the time. In this game, though, this just seems over-the-top ridiculous. I mean, how could you not notice that you're just putting an elevator literally to nowhere that goes nowhere? It seems so ridiculous. And I think there might be other areas. It's been said that No Man's, what is it called? No Man's Wharf sort of looks like that, where it doesn't quite work on a logical level, but I didn't quite notice that with that area, to be honest. I didn't feel that was there. That it couldn't extend downward from the Tower of Hyde. It didn't make a lot of sense, but, yeah, well, what are you going to do? Over here, we can see, I think he's here. Yes, he is. We have Laddersmith Gilligan, but we don't really have the money or desire to do what he wants to do now, so let's forget about it. I'm going to go end this episode by unlocking Straid, the man we talked about in the Lost Bastille, but I have to go to Sinner's Rise, which is that area across the bridge with the crossbowmen that we went to, where you can see the gargoyle. It's the troll bonfire where the crossbowmen come up and attack you. I am not at all fond of this area, as I mentioned before, and I really don't like that this is mysteriously called Sinner's Rise. I understand why it could be called Sinner's Rise for lore purposes, because the lost sinner is here. However, remember that you could just call that particular bonfire Sinner's Rise. You don't have to call a whole new area. This is really just part of the Lost Bastille. But it's like they ran out of bonfires and had to make another new area and call it Sinner's Rise. Remember, this is the area with the kamikaze hollows. It is pretty difficult to not get blown up here, but I think they also altered how much damage they do. They probably do considerably less damage than originally they did. Yeah, just one of them is going to kill us. There's one right by the door that's going to attack us. There he is. Ooh. Free aim that one. Nice. I think they would also aggro much quicker in a group, like all 5 would run at the same time. They might have changed that too. Yes, I will use that to free Straid. This guy's voice kind of sounds like Malcolm McDowell, and right across from one another, we have yet another bonfire that is a troll one. Because remember, if you come here, you will have all 5 of those guys that will attack you immediately, and you have to kill them, usually at range, as soon as you come out. So what the heck? Why? Why would you do that twice in a row right next to each other? Let's talk to Straid. Straid is a great sorcerer from ages past. I think his voice actor sounds a lot like Malcolm McDowell. I thought it was him originally, but that's kind of silly. Can't wander too far as a statue. Straid is a bit of a dick. The mock gesture, I like that. And you can buy sorcery-related stuff from him. More of that useless rouge water. And you can buy a bunch of hexes, sorceries, and pyromancies. Oh, and a couple of miracles. That's nice. Including the very useful Flame Swave. But I haven't really talked about pyromancy yet, so I won't go into that now. Cast Light can be very useful for the area in the Rotten, but again, the areas in this game are not that dark anyway. Dark Fog, I think, does a poison attack, but I think we can get that in the area with the Rotten later on. And what do we have here? Lingering Dragon Crest Ring extends the length of spell effect. That's not that useful. Ring of Knowledge, I think, gives you 5 intelligence, but it's not really that useful because remember, souls are not that they're not that hard to get, and levels are not that hard to get thusly. So, not really that much point. This might have been useful in Demon Souls, but not here. The Agape Ring allows you to maintain a low soul memory, even though you do lots of PvP. What they should have done with PvP is just make it like Dark Souls 1, which is based on soul level. So people will not be leveling up to level 4 or 500 for no reason. I mean, there's no reason to stop, but this Agape Ring is kind of silly. They shouldn't have done that. And you can trade boss soul items with him in order to get unique items based on their weaponry. This is vastly, vastly improved from what it was in Dark Souls 1 and Demon Souls. In that game, you had to go through a ridiculous rigmarole to get the item that you wanted. You had to first get a regular item and then upgrade it to a certain point, and then take that item from that point up to a higher level. You had to ascend it, essentially, with that boss soul weapon. And the whole thing was really expensive. It was cost prohibitive, because upgrade items were harder to get then, and you also had to get the original item up there with a lot of souls, and then pay more souls to get it there. It was absurd, it was ridiculous, and it was really, really time-consuming. And in Demon Souls, it was even worse, because the level that the weapon had to get up to, the plus 2, 3, 4, or 5, or whatever, it was not uniform across all weapons. Some you didn't have to upgrade at all. Others had to be 7, others 5, others 3. It didn't make any sense. And if you got it up to, say, plus 4 from plus 3, you couldn't do anything with it. You got it all the way up to plus 4, and then you'd have to bring it all the way down to base, plus nothing, and then get it back up to plus 3, and upgrade items are really hard to get in that game, like ridiculously hard to get. So they made it so much simpler in this game. Admittedly, I can understand how someone might say they made it too easy in this game, but you know what? Forget that. It was ridiculous to begin with. Thank the Lord that they changed it. And, maybe you could argue that the souls you get are too little. You don't need anything other than the soul and visiting this or another blacksmith later on. And that's really, really what they should have done from the beginning. Some of these weapons here are not that useful. Some are pretty good. I mean, it depends on your character. This is the weapon of the shield of the Dragon Rider. It's not that good. This is his halberd. It does split magic damage and physical. It's also not that good compared to other halberds that we can get. The barbed club I already talked about is not very good, and the arced sword is kind of a meh compared to the Murakumo. The giant stone axe, on the other hand, is a really cool strength weapon. I might get this. In fact, yes, I will get this, maybe for later. The roaring halberd is a good weapon for dark characters. If you're going to go as a hexer, you actually do a considerable amount of damage with this, especially if you want to mix dark with dex, but you have to have a pretty hefty stat investment for that. The warped sword, I think, is just more of a scimitar type weapon. The Pursuer's Ultra Great Sword is a great weapon. In fact, it was so good that they had to nerf it a bit, but it's still excellent. It's essentially has the same moveset as the regular Great Sword that we were using before, but it might even be a little bit better than that. It's a fantastic weapon for a strength character, but I'm not going to get it now because I already used the Great Sword. The Pursuer's Great Shield does not look that cool. It's very heavy. It has some okay resistances, but it's not that great. The Dragon Rider bow, however, I will be getting, because I plan on using this at some time later. You can get another Dragon Rider soul, by the way, later on in the game. This is a pretty darn good bow for a strength character. It's not really all that useful. The Twin Blade I don't really like, because I don't like twin blades, but this weapon, it's very slow to fire compared to the other ones, and it takes a hell of a lot of stamina. Originally, I think they just took the basic amount of stamina that any bow would take, and you could fire multiple shots, and it really was too powerful, so they had to nerf it a bit. He doesn't even know that what Drang Lake is. It's because you're a dick, Straid, and nobody likes you. He's giving us some background on the Lost Bastille. Apparently, cursed undead were brought here to be locked up. However, unlike the undead asylum, these guys were actively tortured rather than just being imprisoned. This Bastille may have been functioning for centuries before Drang Lake even existed as a kingdom. You're gonna leave those zombies out with everybody else? They started locking up people even if they weren't undead, just because they didn't like them. Straid will give you his armor, by the way, which is really cool for a wizard character if you, I think, trade 4 soul items with him. Ugh, many kingdoms rose and fell, I know. It's talking about the cycle that all of the kingdoms are going through of light and dark. They're trying to tell you that the light will always fade and the darkness will always have a spark start again. He says that every time you leave. He's kind of strange that way. Yeah. He's kind of a dick. Well, I'm going to end the episode here. Maybe split these into 2 episodes. There may be an abrupt break in the previous one. I'm not sure. But, yeah, that Straid is a strange man. They seem to be talking about a never-ending cycle of kingdoms of light and dark, of darkness where light always comes, and light that always fades to gray. Life always turns to death. Death always turns to life. But anyway, praise the sun, guys. I will see you in the next one when we start tackling the